can dig it. I don't know why we paid Kurt all this money to not only record these things, but be on the show, and you're going to play your kids, which, we got for free. So
love.
All right.
What do you love?
I brought this Can You Dig It to the table. Road trips. I mean, actually getting in the car, and it can be with family. We can qualify family road trips, bro road trips, whatever, because there's definitely different levels of road trip, but you got to go. What? Okay, first off, let's throw it out there. What do you define? What distance, what time frame that you have to drive for it to constitute a road trip?
4 hours.
Minimum.
All right, I was thinking 4 to 6. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 hours minimum. Yep.
All right. So, do you like road trips? Do you hate them? We're somewhere in the middle. Where we land here?
Oh, that's where we're going. You got to be in the right frame of mind. If it's a road trip you have to do, they're kind of terrible. But if it's something that you want to do, they can be very fun.
Joe.
I saw
Joe
Charles
always
reacting.
Joe always tries to do. Once upon a time, this is from Joe, by the way. Once upon a time, I took a 3,000-mile road trip with a bobcat in our suburban. No, that's called moving. That's technically a road trip, isn't it? I don't know.
That wasn't us moving, though. That wasn't us moving. So we were living in Washington State at the time.
You just take your cat and get on the road.
Yeah.
All right. Tell your story.
Yeah. So we were living in Washington State at the time. My dad decided he wanted to go visit his family in Pennsylvania. And so we all packed up, brought the bobcat with us, and we drove 3,000 miles over the course of, I think, only 3 days. And
there had to be laws broken there somewhere. Transporting a bobcat.
Yeah,
well, it was our pet. It was our pet bobcat.
and I don't even think that works in that state, but if it does, that only works in that state.
So in Washington, when we had our bobcat, there were no laws against it. Shortly before we moved from Washington to Pennsylvania, they were actually working on I guess the city was making a city ordinance that you had to have a permit to own a bobcat, because we weren't the only people in the city with a bobcat as a pet. There were actually at least 3 other families that I knew of that had bobcats as pets and they, my soccer team, I was like 6 years old. My soccer team actually changed their name from Golden Eagles to Bobcats because 2 of us on the team had pet bobcats. The other kid that's
not a reason to change the team and put the money into the logo and everything.
That's okay. They changed it back when the Bobcats actually attacked the team. And 3 of the kids got put in the hospital.
So the other kid's family actually brought their bobcat to the sidelines, and that same kid, because we went to elementary school together, he had his bobcat brought in for show and tell once, and then the school said, "Yeah, so show and tell, you can't do animals anymore."
Did it hurt anybody?
It did not.
Did it spray anywhere?
Not that I know of. I didn't hear of any incident. They were just like, yeah, no, this is not happening again. And they were like, no more animals for show and tell. Oh yeah. No, I get it. God. But all my
a question about bobcats at school, Joseph.
Yeah.
About road trips.
All my cousins loved having our bobcat there. And it was a lot of fun, but it was definitely tiring. We basically drove straight through, switching out drivers, and so I slept in some weird positions on the floor of that Suburban.
I'll bet
with feet on top of me, and yeah. So we were definitely very, very, very tired by the time we got there. But
and y'all stayed a day and turned around and went home. So yeah,
we stayed for 10 days and then came home. Yeah.
All right. Well, 10 days actually makes it a little worth it, but man, driving through is crazy.
Well, so
my joke is not worth
it. That's a whole lot of money for a family of 8 to spend to go. So
yeah, fair enough.
But yeah.
I
Yep,
mean,
yep.
you didn't have to bring every kid. You could have left some behind, and the bobcat. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, so I don't think my older brother came with us during that trip, so I guess it was only the 7 of us and the bobcat.
Oh my God, Kurt, Pappy,
What?
Pappy, help us here. Do you dig some road trips?
I dig some road trips if they A, have a purpose, and B, you're not rushed. So like the road trip to Dragon Con, for example,
Yeah.
it's okay, except I was rushed the entire time because I had to drive from New Hampshire to
Well,
Pennsylvania first.
part of that was you drove like 20 hours from New Hampshire to
Right.
Philadelphia, and then turned around and drove 20 hours from Philadelphia to Atlanta.
Yeah, it wasn't quite that, but yeah, it was crazy. Like,
And going back home, you did the same thing because you had to be back at work.
yeah. So yeah, it was worse.
Man.
It was worse because we drove from Atlanta to Pennsylvania, which was about a 12-hour drive, and then literally I got in my car as soon as we stopped and drove to New Hampshire, which was a 7 or 8 hour drive on top of that. So that was terrible. That was terrible, which is why I flew this time.
What about fun stuff though? What's your
fun stuff? So I did. So I've gone a couple of times with some buddies, and we would drive from New Hampshire to Montreal, Canada, and and that's a 4.5 hour road trip. And we went up to watch the Montreal Expos before they left Canada. So we did like a baseball road trip. Drove up there, stayed in a hotel. I think we got 2 hotel rooms because we're adults, and and went and saw the baseball game. Fun fact: if you go there and at the border crossing they say, "Why are you coming to Canada?" and you say to see the Expos, they pull you over and have you come inside to discuss that because nobody went to see the Expos.
They frisk you and everything. You better have some rookie cards on you, son.
Yep. Yeah, and then one of our buddies was with us, and one of the questions they asked you inside was, "Have you ever been before a judge?" And we're going, "Nope." And this one guy said, "Yep." And we went, "If they're detaining you, we're leaving you. Like, just understand that we're taking off." Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was fun. It was a really fun trip. But you got to be in that right frame of mind.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm gonna tap into this one real quick. Iron Will says, I once took a bro trip to North Carolina from Pennsylvania in 7 hours, but only traveled 3 miles. We made it to a Sheetz, which is a gas station in Pennsylvania, and fell asleep eating mozzarella sticks in the parking lot. It was a sign not to travel. That sounds like there was something else involved.
Yeah, exactly. Because, mozzarella sticks aren't actually made of tryptophan.
Do you know what that is, Joe?
Tryptophan?
Have you ever done tryptophan?
Tryptophan is a naturally occurring chemical in food.
Yeah.
What do you think tryptophan is?
I know exactly what it is, but I didn't think you knew what it was. So
I take a high dose of tryptophan every Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I absolutely love a road trip only if it's done my way, and that's it. I mean, I hate it with the family and with my wife. Now, early on, before we had kids, I'm not kidding. I'm not
road trips with his family.
I do. I hate it because it's not a road trip. It's a chore. It's
and you hate road trips with me when I have too much Mountain Dew.
No, see, I love that. We've been in some of that. So here's the thing. When my wife and I first got married, we tried to meet in the middle on a road trip. So we established some things to entertain ourselves. Like we'd buy a brand new, back in the day, we had CDs and we'd buy a new comedian.
You have CDs?
Yes. you know, on that one. And hello, Sightman 12345 on Instagram, and Gramrod92 is hooked up with us on Instagram.
Oh, Gramrod. Nice.
But my wife, here's the thing. My wife, I'm not Brian Ibbett. My wife wants to go take a 4-hour trip and turn it into 10. right? Oh, well, if we go over here, we can see the Columbia Zoo, and then we can go right, Kurt, right? I'm like,
No,
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 no, it's a 9-hour trip already when we stop and grab a quick bite to eat and pee and go.
See, that was my dad on the way back with the Bobcat, though. On our way, like getting there, he wanted to get there as fast as we could. Coming back, he was like, "Hey, it's only like an extra 3 hours to jump up to go see Mount Rushmore, or yeah." And so he shot it. It was all historical places that he wanted to go see.
Okay.
But yeah, but you're still driving all the way through.
Yes. So basically, so on the way back from Pennsylvania to Washington, he was like, "Hey, let's detour here. Let's detour there." We detoured about 4 times and added probably 12 hours to our. So it was more like 4 days on the way back instead of 3.
I'll play a little bit devil's advocate. Although you need to really plan that out and get some better rest. So at one point, my wife and I were talking about a couple of different trips to take, and one of them was going up to New York City. But we always think with the ages the kids are, right? It's always today. Today's the last day we can do this kind of thing because they get older tomorrow and so on and so forth. And eventually it kind of becomes this wrangling thing. So in that mindset, we were like, okay, if we're gonna go up, we're gonna stop in DC, and we talk about getting train. We'll ride the train up, rent a car, stop in DC overnight, see the Smithsonian, those kind of things, hit Pennsylvania, do Hershey and all that jazz, and then maybe go up to New York City. I kind of get where your dad's coming from. This might be a once in a lifetime thing where you're all together as a family. But when you say the words, it's only 3 hours, I just backhand you and we keep on rolling. Yeah, nah, dog. My wife kills me though too. So on those trips just with me and her, now I'm that guy. Get in the car, let's go. Oh, you gotta pee? Let's stop and pee at a gas station, grab some snacks because that's our food, and let's rock. Well, she doesn't cater to that. She came out with a big gulp out of the first one, like, are you kidding me? And I was mad at her. We're driving and she drank it all. And within an hour, we're stopping again. And I'm waiting. I'm like, let's go get down the road because we're getting to this cool adventure we're going to. And she comes back out with another big gulp. I was like, I swear to God, you get another drink, I'm divorcing you. This is our first year of marriage. Now with the kids, of course, they need to stretch your legs. So we'll have to stop at a Wendy's or something and let them sit down and eat, walk around, play on the playground, which, yes, it does help. But I'm like, come on, let's rock and roll.
That's how my dad was too. He treated our gas stops as like pit stops in NASCAR. He was like, go, 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 go. And yeah.
Now, Joe, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. Go ahead. So yeah, so that's the way I used to be. Is just like, okay, let's go. And now when I travel with my wife, because she's got some medical issues, and I just go, okay, whatever. I've just resigned myself to we're stopping whenever we're stopping. It doesn't bother me as much as it used to because I planned for that.
Yeah, if you make the road trip the trip.
Right.
That's the difference to me. So Joe, you and I went up to Chicago. We drove. I drove the hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, to my house, your house. And then we drove together the 14 hours or so up to Chicago. 12 to 14.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 12, but then we hit traffic and it was like 15.
Oh yeah. But
Charles was like, Joe, you're driving and that estimate just keeps going up and up and up.
It did. I'm like, get out. I'm driving now. But yeah, it was traffic stuff. But we did it well. We see, it's good about story time. You talk about topics that you don't think about, and we're just going and doing things. And then when we stopped specifically, I think, at a Taco Bell to get dinner, and we got it to go. But instead of going through the drive-thru, we went inside. So you stretch your legs a little bit, spend the 5-10 minutes ordering the food and getting it, and then you get your butt back in the car and get back on the road, because that's the thing. I don't know. That's me. So it sounds like we like road trips, but we all have our own specific ways of doing it. And I can see, Kurt. Yeah, I can definitely see that as part of my wife and I taking trips, because for me, the adventure is where we're getting to. It's like an airplane ride. I'm not taking an airplane ride for the joy of it. I'm getting to somewhere where that's where the fun is.
Right.
But if she wants to, like, well, let's hit these points. Okay, well, that's the trip. We'll go to this one area, explore for a day. I mean, that sounds like old people RV parking, but I'm down for that. That's fine by me.
Me too.
Yeah. And see, like, in order to avoid even more stops. Well, and to save money. I remember my dad would take a whole loaf of bread, take it out of it, turn the entire thing into sandwiches, and stuff it back into the
Oh yeah, man.
the loaf bag, and just toss that to our cooler and be like, "Hey, who wants a sandwich?" And it's just hand out sandwiches. And so
Smart.
yeah, it worked real well.
Now,
I mean, they got a little squished over time and a little soggy, but it worked.
I'll tell you, my mother-in-law told horror stories. I see your comment. Oh, I want to follow up with Iron Will too, but I see your comment about leaving super early. So it'd be my wife's grandfather, right? My mother-in-law's father. That was the thing. 3 a.m, let's go. He put a can in the back of the car, and he would not stop. Once you got in the car, there's no stopping. You had to pee, get the can.
Get the can.
And she swears that's true. I never asked him directly, but that sounds a whole lot like abuse to me. And then Iron Will followed up on his sleeping trip. No THC, no tryptophan, just worked a 15-hour shift at night. Which tells me, like, what are you thinking? Well, Betty, I'm glad you survived. I'm glad you survived your youth. That's all I'm saying. And Miss Timberlake says, oh, yeah, the coffee can. Been there, done that. I've pulled over on the side of the road. I remember being a kid, couldn't hold it. And my mom, had the door and blah, blah, I could pee on the side of the road, whatever. But yeah, not in a can.
Yeah, we usually pulled off on the side of the road, but there was at least one time where my dad told my brother, look, we just stopped 10 minutes ago. You pee in that soda bottle, that empty soda bottle right there. So that's what he did.